call the member for Ryde.
Thank you, Speaker. The first words I ever spoke in this chamber were that this House 1 recognises the rich history and regional significance of the TG Millner playing fields in Marsfield and the vital importance of large green open spaces for the local Ryde community and Greater Sydney. 2, opposes any plans to develop the TG Millner site or diminish the public's access to green space. And 3, calls on the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces to take any and all steps necessary to secure this iconic local landmark as green open space in perpetuity. That was on the 11th of May 2023. It followed a long and drawn-out fight to protect the fields from an outrageous proposal that would see the single greatest loss of recreational space in Ryde. The simple reality is that we do not have enough open space in Ryde to field all the sporting competitions, training and recreational demands of our community. It is a widespread challenge across Sydney, yet only in Ryde does there appear to be a real opportunity to make a substantial inroad in improving access, to actually make things better and invest in social and community infrastructure for the future. Historically, TG Millner has enjoyed bipartisan support, with my predecessor in this place spearheading community campaigns to save the fields, the now Labor member for Bennelong pledging his support, and the council team I led as mayor agreeing to protect the site, Liberal and Labor united behind the local community. Even the Labor candidate for Ryde in the recent state election took a commitment to the community on behalf of the now government to save TG Millner. After my election, it was one of the first letters that I wrote as a Member of Parliament to the Minister for Planning, seeking an opportunity to meet. I wanted to discuss this specific issue and work collaboratively to ensure both their election promise and my long-held advocacy could be combined to achieve a positive community result. To date, I'm still awaiting an acknowledgement of that letter. The silence on TG Millner is deafening and reeks of another broken promise that is having a real impact in Ryde. I say another because this is a government that has form when it comes to promises. Take the cultural centre that was promised to Eastwood's Korean community. Before the election, the community was told that the government would design and build a new culture centre. Now, after the election, the community has been told by the Premier's department that the project is ineligible under their own rules. To be clear, this was their commitment before the election being taken away after the election. We cannot afford for TG Millner to fall into that same category. Unlike the Culture Centre, TG Millner has been under threat and requires action from this government now as promised. The simple reality is that the site must be bought. Ryde Council has been embarking upon a process to identify capital to acquire the site. Yet it has been revealed after a lengthy and forensic investigation that the previous administration's mismanagement of the Ryde Civic Centre project has left the council with more than just a hole in the ground, but also a hole in its project budget. Without putting too fine of a point on it, this was a Labor-led council that overpromised the community, made decisions based on false financial assumptions, and now has left an important community priority at enormous risk. Surely state Labor must not allow their major election commitment to fall over because of the failures of their colleagues in local government. On Tuesday night, Ryde Council voted to prioritise the protection of TG Millner as open space. In light of this government's plan to rezone the special commercial precinct of Macquarie Park with 8,000 additional apartments, locals know we'll need this space now more than ever. Unbelievably, the same Labor councillors who previously fronted community meetings proclaiming their love and support for open space like TG Millner voted against the motion. They voted in one foul swoop to abandon TG Millner and to add salt to the wounds, not retain the Ryde Civic Precinct in public ownership. An extraordinary backflip that reinforces why now more than ever we need the certainty of this government's election commitment. Put simply, Labor can't be trusted on local government. And just today, they even went so far as to try and rescind that motion to save TG Millner and retain the Ryde Civic Precinct in public hands. I truly don't understand what is wrong with these councillors, but trust that the Premier and Minister for Planning will see clearly as our community that the need for their election commitment must be honoured. I note that before the 2023-24 state budget, I spoke in this House and specifically requested the government allocate funds for the acquisition of TG Millner to ensure that their election commitment
was honoured. This was ignored and the budget failed to set aside even a single dollar, a highly disappointing result. The prevailing theme that is emerging is that Labor is walking away from TG Millner and public ownership of public spaces. Voters will remember these decisions if they are not corrected now, and I implore this government to listen to the community and save TG Millner as you promised before the election.
Well, I